I do want to take questions if we have time. Should we do that? Yes, absolutely. You can ask me anything, maybe for the next 5 minutes, and then I'll make some closing remarks. Yes.
We have a microphone there. Yep.
Yeah.
See if it works.
The guy in the back?
Yes, the gentleman in the back first, please.
Stay all the way back.
Dale.
Let me ask for a quick question.
Talk normal. We'll hear you, Paul. Just go ahead, Paul.
Go ahead.
And then I'll repeat the question. Go ahead.
Michelle, I'm Roman Catholic, and I followed your work on Open Borders Inc., and you nailed the CCHD and the USCCB. That created quite an impact. If you're familiar with Relevant Radio, they've got over 220 million, well, they've got a listenership of 220, and the attitudes within Catholic radio have changed regarding immigration, regarding Trump, and you've been quoted in some of these, yeah, you have been, seriously, because it's starting to cut through the fake news, and Catholics want the truth. That's what we want, and I applaud you for your work. It's a statement, it's a rousing endorsement of your work. Keep it up, you've got your back.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I'll just summarize for the record, since you weren't on the microphone, that you mentioned enlightening people about the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops and the Catholic Campaign for Human Development. And I've heard from so many of our fellow patriotic Catholics who are disgusted with how their hard-earned dollars that they put in the collection baskets are being used against this country. And I talk about the history of the Catholic Campaign for Human Development, which was literally a partnership between Saul Alinsky, the author of Rules for Radicals, and a radical Chicago bishop named Bernard Shiel. And what they did was provide this limitless funding mechanism for the social justice warrior wing of the U.S. Catholic Conference of Bishops. And people don't realize that when they put money, for example, in a national collection for their diocese around Thanksgiving, that money is specifically earmarked for left-wing causes, not just open borders, but pro-abortion, pro-gay marriage, radical social policies. People need to stop sort of that automatic, knee-jerk, kind of congenital Catholic impulse that we have to think that we're supporting our local communities when we put money like that into the collection baskets. And it is literally a $1 billion enterprise. Of course, Catholic Charities, RIS here, has been the primary contractor for refugee resettlement. And they get an average about $2,000 per refugee. That's on top of all of the loan resettlement fees that they collect. And then we as taxpayers at the federal level are funding not just the State Department arm of it, but also the Health and Human Services arm. And then, of course, here, all of the state and local welfare funding that's being diverted from American citizens to people from around the world.
Hi, good evening.
Yes, hi.
Wow, this thing is like from 1994.
We're going retro.
I'll just use my loud voice. So, hi, I'm Casey. I live down the street. I just heard about this like 10 minutes ago, I think, probably like everyone else. And I'm like, well, it's cold, I'm warm, might as well go out. So, I have two questions. I didn't know that point about Catholic Charities of Maine. My mom actually works for Catholic Charities of Maine.
You might want to let her know.
She's known for years, but we're in a tough economy. And when she's devoted half of her life to Catholic Charities at the local level, there's corporate people sitting on a board, a chair that's made out of, that board that we call our Board of Selectmen's desk, So when she needs to go to work and make money, it's tough. This is a new point I'm just hearing today, so that just kind of clicked in my mind. But it is, I absolutely believe that the Roman Catholic Church, because I was raised Catholic, that there's a problem there, and it needs to be solved. Whether that's interjection, that's freedom of speech though, and that's what we're here for, right?
That's the truth.
Question?
What?
Move it along.
Oh, excuse me. I apologize. Everyone else is just as important.
You have the right to speak.
Yeah.
Sure, so is everyone else, so I will hurry up. I apologize. So my question is, my wife's from Australia. I was in the Marine Corps 4 years, met her when I was over there, did a pump to Afghanistan, came back. We had to go through the legal immigration process, and it cost us nearly $7,000 to get her. We actually were engaged. We wanted to have a nice wedding, and she was engaged. We were engaged. We had to go elope because it was actually, we found a loophole. It was a lot cheaper for us if we went down to the courthouse, said I do's in front of my roommate and the Marine Corps' girlfriend, and then go on. So my question is, what do we say to those people that are going through the process? My sister-in-law would love to move here. She's a child care advocate. She's trained in child care. She takes care of a kid right now that I don't know what 17 diseases he has, but he doesn't have a long life to live. And she's trained. She's been trained for years. So she wants to come here, and she knows that there's job opportunities in child care, and she's very knowledgeable. But for her, she's not married, she's not engaged to anyone here, but she has family here. And we have close ties to Australia, and we, she wants to come here and be there. So my question to you, I guess, what do we do to those people that can come to our country and benefit us without closing down and saying, no more? Because I'm a veteran, and I know we've got some problems with the homeless, the sick, veterans, healthcare.
Yes, yeah, I get your question, And what I'll say to you is, after diagnosing the ills and the abandonment of American sovereignty over the last quarter century, we need a break, we need a pause. A lot of people want to come here from around the world, right? If all of the open borders gay people had their way, they'd just open the floodgates completely and allow, 1 billion people to come here, right?
Absolutely.
We can't do that. And so I advocate a complete immigration moratorium.
Yes.
Because we already have, like I said, 330 million people here already. We have a problem with assimilation. We need to take care of the people who are already here. If you would like to preserve our, if you would like to preserve our, if you would like to ask a question separately, why don't you come up? Okay? We have.
Excuse me, this is our community.
There is the money to take care of everyone.
Please.
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
No, don't.
You are out of order.
No, wait. Wait.
To the poor,
First of all,
veterans,
Time out.
yeah, ma'am.
Real quick.
I would like you to come up and speak, and I'd like to answer your question, but you interrupted his question and my answer.
She's not
Okay?
being rude, she's here to disrupt. Wait
Hey guys, can I just step forward real quick? Then I gotta go.
You need to be quiet. You need to be quiet.
Guys, listen real quick. I'm gonna leave the room.
Okay, here.
Listen, if you don't have to take me. You can take me as is, a lunatic or crazy. Officer back there knows me, and he knows I'm a half-decent person. There's a medical call that we gotta go take care of right now because an 81-year-old woman is having some chest pain. So, well, there's a good thing because your townspeople money. There's also, this is your community. You guys are elderly, right? Right? We got an elder. Be honest and truth. We got an elder population. Be nice to one another. Just be nice. Be fucking nice to one another.
Okay, then why did you have to curse like that?
And say good morning.
I have a question.
All right, let's have somebody who raised their hand. Yeah.
Right here.
Okay, go ahead.
I have an actual question, all right? How do you propose to hold the feet of the Chamber of Commerce Republicans to the fire without dividing the party and handing the next election to Democrats, which would be worse?
Okay, so that is the question that's posed to us every primary, right? Every presidential election. cycle. And so what happens is that grassroots nationalists and populists are always guilted into voting for clear losers like John McCain, right? Or Mitt Romney. Or if Donald Trump had not come along, it would have been Jeb Bush, who felt entitled to the dynastic inheritance of the White House, right? So we have the solution. It's keep voting people in like Donald Trump and kicking people out like the establishment. It also means the same way with if you're going to reform the Catholic Church, stop feeding the beast, all right? Stop giving money to conservative establishment organizations. And if you have access, educate these dum-dums in the donor class who are either clueless or complicit. Right?
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. But the people. Yeah.
I'm incredibly inspired that you're here. You're so bold.
Oh, you guys are inspiring me. You're inspiring me. And hopefully all the people who are watching.
My name's Peter Balkenberg-Brown. I'm the chair of the Gray Republican Committee. And I defended you on Twitter, to that Twitter account.
Thank you so much.
Because that person didn't know what they were talking about.
Yes.
My question is this. The Democrats and the left loves to divide and conquer. What can we do as conservatives to help you with the falling out with YAF and Turning Point and that whole thing? Because it's really painful to see conservative people rejecting your message. And I know it's out there when you start talking about Islamic migration or what's happening in Sweden or England.
Yes.
You know, they're almost doomed. And with America, we see it coming, and you've illuminated that. So I think we need to find a way to help you and our cause unify our camp. And seeing Turning Point and YAF, you know, reject you was very painful. So what can we do to help?
I appreciate it. Being here is an act of bravery itself. Supporting these kids, supporting good other local Republicans. Adrian's campaign, Mayor Nick, so many of you, you know, the folks that welcomed us here to this emergency meeting. It is an emergency. We need to declare a state of emergency. With regard, because, you know, I've got social media streaming this, to the likes of the Young Americas Foundation and TP USA, I know that there are good people, our people, who are inside those organizations who are terrified, right? They need to put food on the table, like that guy said. I understand that. I completely sympathize with that. I know that not everybody can do this sort of like kamikaze thing that I'm doing here. And you know, to the extent that people can make, you know, small sacrifices and, you know, even just creating a Twitter account, being Spartacus, right? We need strength in numbers because many of us are getting kicked off. Let's get new people on there, right? And directly tweeting at YAF, at TPUSA, and demanding to know why it is that they are paying. TPUSA has a $22 million budget. Wow. What are these young people doing? Right? When we have illegal alien dreamers who can march up to the Supreme Court steps or ambush ICE facilities, where are the young people on our side representing them? You know, oh, I got this tweet the other day from someone making excuses, you know, some boomer type, when I was saying we need to put boots on the ground. That's why during my book tour over the last 4 months, I've led these little stand with ICE rallies at ICE facilities. You could do that at the Portland ICE facility, right? Just take an hour out of your day, put some hashtag stand with ICE signs there, you know, because there's some, you know, oldie, moldy, hippie dippies there, right? Do you do that?
I'll do it.
Do it. Do it. Take pictures, send them to me, and I'll tweet them out. Okay? Now, let me make a more serious point, because in some cases, it's not going to be anything that's going to endanger you. But I have a friend that I helped raise money for after he was beaten, bloody, by Antifa in another Portland, right? Portland, Oregon, that other crazy place. His name is Andy No. Young brave guy out there just trying to do his job. And he's the quietest, sweetest guy you will ever meet. Like me, he's demonized, right? They make him out as if he's some scary KKK hooded guy, right? Comes from a family of Vietnamese immigrants, right? He's out there exposing the violence of Antifa and these abolish ICE forces whose funders I document in Open Borders, Inc. All he did was stand up and show up and point a camera. Y'all can do the same thing. And you have to know that what we see in Portland, Oregon is going to explode over this course of this campaign. I became a refugee of the Beltway in part because some of that craziness was beginning to interfere in my own daily life. Like I had been on Fox pretty much every single day through the mid to late 2000s. And I would take my own kids, who were toddlers at the time when I lived in the Beltway, to an IHOP, and there'd be some nut on Saturday morning marching over to our table while we're buried in whipped cream and pancakes to start yelling at me very hustily about something that I'd said on the O'Reilly Factor. It's Saturday morning, chill out. Do some hot yoga or something. And we just have to laugh about it. And I think that's another key when we're presenting our face to the public. We can counter by actions and not just by words all of the false lies that are always told about us. People will lie and say that I'm always mad. Like I've spent half the time here giggling at just about how stupid these people are. Right? And you can find as many pictures of me smiling as you can of me going like that. And there are people that are funded by Soros to sit there in their little cubicles and find the right freeze frame. It's really creepy to think about, right? You have these like Soros keyboard monkey types that they're paid to find ugly pictures of conservative patriots. They do. And then they plant it, and then that's the only thing that you ever see is when we look ugly and mean. Man, I'm opening my mouth half the time on TV. Of course you're going to find some picture of me.
Trying to demonize you, that's all.
It's brilliant, though. Optics are everything.
Kevin.
Michelle, you signed my book in 2011 in Washington, D.C. at the AEI conference, and I don't remember which one it was. Was it the one you said we shouldn't mention? The first one, Invasion?
Invasion, yeah.
And by the way, this is being streamed on Facebook, so everybody knows when they...
Yeah.
By the way, what is this?
Yes.
It's one of the fifth rights in the First Amendment in the Assembly.
Yes.
And how many times did they have to get us here? 5, right?
Oh, I love it.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Gentleman right in the back here, he was next.
Okay, you said, I'm going to use your words earlier. First of all, I'm going to commend you for all the work you do. And using your words earlier, when you spoke up to that young man and said you were giving away your age, well, I'm going to give away my age. When I was in high school, JFK was President of the United States. He confronted communism and socialism in the Cuban blockade. It was addressed by the media as being a blockade of war. It wasn't. It was to stop socialism and communism from coming into this country. Follow that up, Khrushchev had to back off. And Khrushchev told Kennedy, and those of you that are my age or are in that area will remember, that he said he would destroy us from within.
Yes.
And the way he would do that was through our educational system, right? Yep. And confrontation of one against the other in the media. So there's a lot of good suggestions made here of how to correct things. But the only thing any single person here or all over can do is, number one, be a parent.
That's correct.
Number two, get involved in your educational system. And number 3, stand up for what you believe.
You see the intersectionality here, okay? There are 2 types of sovereignty that are so important that each and every one of us has to preserve. Family sovereignty and national sovereignty. They go hand in hand. And our first primary duty is to our children, to protect them, to educate them, to impart them with knowledge of the values, traditions, and laws of our Christian nation. And then we have to make sure in whatever educational setting that we send them to. And like I said, I always practice what I preach. My kids have been in private schools, public schools, religious schools. They've been in a public charter school. They've been homeschooled and in regular public schools. I have made sure, my husband and I have made sure that they are properly immunized, that they are ideologically vaccinated, and inoculated from this social justice virus that is so toxic, corrosive, and metastatic. This is the problem with so much of Conservatism Inc. is because if you think about the educational pipeline, they are pouring tens of millions of dollars into the wrong end of the pipe. Okay? They think that they can send brand ambassadors, right, with their cringy memes to these campuses, ban nationalists from asking tough questions, and get them to just la-di-da along and memorize a few pat phrases, and they'll turn, right? And this will be the great awakening of people on campuses. While that pipeline at the front end is dominated by these Alinskyeites, dominated by people who teach Howard Zinn for history, and think that the traditional algorithms for math that were invented by dead white men have to be replaced by multicultural math. Right? They don't care about K through 12, and they've abandoned grassroots parents who had to fight the Republican Party and big business to try and stop Common Core. So I agree with you. Parental sovereignty, national sovereignty.
I'm going to take 2 more questions. 2 more questions only. It's getting late. Many of us had a long day today.
Yeah.
Gentleman in the black t-shirt, you've been waiting, so.
This is Malkin. I'm also the child of immigrants, legal immigrants, and we love this country. Our last name is actually America, so on behalf of the America family.
Oh, I love
it! Mr. America, you'll meet on this door. And we wanted to ask you to please commit to not retiring for another 50 years. And then, secondly, just throwing this out there, I think all these venues, I could understand if they were saying, you know, we don't agree with you or whatever. I don't think that's why they canceled you. I think they canceled you because they were afraid, not ideologically opposed to you. So I suggest they get another round of phone calls from all of us, telling them that they're not going to have our business, and letting them know what cowards they are.
Last question.
Not just a question, but I'll tell you something that I do. I have some thoughts. Well, I'm always thinking of, I tell people, if I talk to people every day in my community, and even at the gas station, I will say, is one less terrorist. How do you like one less terrorist in the world? You know, I just speak and I try to say pertinent things and pertinent figures. And I have concerns like the governor of Virginia. And how do we get ahead of them without them picking us off like Ted Nugent or somebody? If you stand up and you say something about making them have a gun, then I'm just concerned. What I'm concerned about is our police officers, and I do wonder, when your first thing, if it was in Portland, or wherever it was, like to know, do you have, if the police are contacted, how we protect them? And how is it that the young people, the radicals, that they can overpower the police, and how you believe that help them?
So I guess the question is, how do we guarantee the safety of the police who are trying to guarantee our safety? Well, their job is to protect and to serve, and in all of the Stand With ICE rallies that I've gone to and the dozens of events that have been completely peaceful, when they're allowed to do their jobs, they're effective. And the problem is that in so many ways, because of politically correct police chiefs and sanctuary outlaw mayors, they're handcuffed from doing their jobs. They're gagged from communicating with federal ICE officials. And then when you have Silicon Valley that allows Antifa and Occupy Wall Street to publish explicit death threats against law enforcement. I've got this chilling screen capture of a tweet in Open Borders Incorporated that is a cartoon advocating how to slice the throat of an ICE agent. And that was allowed to be published while people who are peacefully expressing their nationalist views are pushed off of these platforms.
Why are people not being arrested for this? I don't understand it.
Well, in part it's because George Soros has cleverly and stubbornly funded district attorney campaigns across the country to elect the literal son of a terrorist, Chesa Boudin, in San Francisco, and these corruptocrats in Chicago and Philadelphia and pretty much every major metropolitan area. So what can you do? So what can you do about it? Well, do you know good lawyers or people who would run for district attorney? Do you realize that in addition to the district attorneys, that police chiefs are being put in place by the Soros machine? Before that, I did a documentary called Rocky Mountain Heist about what these tech billionaires did to change our red state legislature blue, and of course, secretaries of state who held so much power over our voting rights, being supplanted with people funded by Soros and Tides. All politics is local. And I just want to say one last thing. It's about fear, and it's about the climate of hate. If you live by fear, you will be ruled by tyrants. And we opened up this meeting with a beautiful rendition of the national anthem. We are the land of the free, because of the brave. Be brave. You've inspired me, and I hope I've done the same. God bless.